Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, you may call me Miss Manners. I am speaking on homelessness and on the homeless today. I bring you this program based out of frustration and appreciation on certain things that I've seen dealing with the homeless. And both the homeless and those who interact with the homeless who have homes, uh, I suggest there's a new appreciation that needs to be uh, looked at. I don't know how long it's been, but when I was a little kid, I heard of Miss Manners. And there was this white lady who did etiquette type stuff and taught people how to have manners and how to act and which fork or which to use at a dinner table. Well, quite frankly, I don't care if somebody eats peas with their knife. That's not my area. But Miss Manners, who is still alive at, I think, 83, 84 years old, and she has this column in some uh, papers throughout the country, gives some advice on how you should handle certain situations. And from time to time, I would read some of her suggestions. And I believe that she may even had a television spot because I vaguely remember seeing her on TV. But anyway, she had this etiquette type advice. She's very witty. And I recall, some of the things that she had suggested and how to deal with certain situations were, funny, but firm on, how you treat a person in a particular situation. Now, far as San Francisco's homeless situation is concerned, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly from both the homeless and those who interact with the homeless. And I honestly believe that there is a need on the part of those who are dealing with the homeless to show the homeless more appreciation. Now, when I say show the homeless more appreciation, to look at the whole person, to appreciate is to uh, take in the whole, and consider, not just the one aspect of, well, the person's filthy. There may be a reason that a person's filthy. There's some construction workers that are filthy. Why? Because they just got off the job and they've been in a ditch or up waist deep in dirt. So when you look at the whole person, you are better able to assess whether you can do something that'll help them along. And I witnessed, I guess it was last week, while I was driving down the street, uh, two young men in their early 20s holding their skateboards and walking across the street. It was late at night, and a homeless man, and it was obvious he was homeless and in a wheelchair, was coming across the street in the opposite direction. And just as the homeless man came close enough to the two young men, he shouted out, "Please help me across the street." So one of the young men didn't hesitate. He turned around, got behind the man's wheelchair, and pushed him to the sidewalk, while the other, his friend, went all the way over to the other side of the street and then saw him skateboard back towards where his buddy was. Now, the aspect of this situation was these two young men showed an appreciation for a human being that I thought, I mean, one of the two young men that I thought was, you know, proper. He saw somebody who needed help. It was obvious that the person was in the wheelchair, but the person was dirty, had blankets and all kind of other stuff. And young man, he thought nothing of it to help someone out who needed help. This is the Good Samaritan that I spoke of last week. The issue that we look at a person and make an assessment not on just the immediate, ugh, filthy, I'm not going to touch him, but the whole person will be able to help more people. I recall a few years ago, it was Christmas morning, and I was getting coffee in one of the very few places that was selling coffee on Christmas Day. As I got my coffee and I was exiting, there was this man who was obviously intoxicated. He looked homeless, but there was, he could have had a home, but he was a drunk. And there was another very well-dressed black woman, obviously in the Christmas spirit. She, when the man asked her for some change, she reached in her purse, pulled out a $20 bill, and handed it to him and said, "Merry Christmas." Now, I, looking at the man, thought, you're a drunk, you're going to just go and buy something to drink. I'm not giving you my $20. But this woman saw the same sight that I saw and looked beyond it. And so by her looking beyond it, she helped somebody, not looking at his present state, not caring that he looked like a worthless drunk. And so it is that type of a spirit that I say that we need to show not only the homeless, but especially the homeless. I heard a saying from a man who told me a really interesting story where he was criticizing how people were treating him. And he was praying. And as he was praying to God about these people and how they were treating him, he was in a position where no one was around. And he heard a voice respond to his prayer. And as God is my witness, and this gentleman told the story to me, he said, the voice said, "It's not how people treat you, it's how you treat people." And he was basically in tears because it woke him up to the fact that, no, life is not how badly you're being treated. Life is how you treat others, you know. And so he realized that it was the voice of God. Now, you can call me a liar, say the guy made up the story, but I was there, you weren't. When this guy told me the story, I knew where it came from. I believe that God will speak to people. And so this situation I have carried for more than 20 years with the utmost appreciation for the statement. It's not how people treat you, it's how you treat people. Now, don't get me wrong. We don't need to be used and abused, to be pushovers. We don't need to allow people to just run roughshod over us, doing whatever they can, in a way to get over and stuff like that. But it is a way to stay above the nonsense. As I said last week, I have a saying that I would prefer to give someone more respect than they deserve just to stay above the nonsense. But the fact that in dealing with the homeless situation here in San Francisco, you can call me Miss Manners, just as a reminder that we need to show more appreciation for the homeless and not just look at the immediate ugliness of their situation, which in many cases, sadly, is the case, but to look beyond that and to look of a reason to help them. Because I can guarantee you, if you show the homeless by saying something like, here's $20. I don't care what you do with the $20, but if I see you again and you look even a little bit better, I'll give you another $20. The point of the matter is you want to help these people. You don't want them to think that you're a pushover. But, hey, if you see them again and you look at the situation and they look worse, you know what to do. Now, I say that based on the fact that I have experience in this area. I once was in a McDonald's parking lot, and this guy that I think he has a home, he does not dress like he's homeless, which is, you can't tell. But the fact that he asked me for a few dollars, and I had seen him quite often and often gave him a buck or two if I had it. This one time I gave him $3. After I finished my meal, I drove around the corner and I watched this gentleman. He was scratching off his lotto tickets, numbers or whatever it was. Those scratchums or whatever they are. I don't play the lottery, so I don't know anything about them. But I do know the motions that he was using as I was driving by. Now, that was a year ago. Since then, I have seen the man at least 20 times in the past year. He has not gotten one extra dollar from me. And the reason why is, out of the goodness of my heart, I tried to help him. But once I noticed that it wasn't help, then I cut him off. And so when I say you can call me Miss Manners, I am saying that when we're trying to help people out, and show them appreciation, and you're looking at the whole person and you're being more respectful to them and doing all of this stuff, I am not in any way, shape, or form saying be a pushover and just hand over your hard earned money to people who aren't going to appreciate it. I'm saying that there are some people who will appreciate it. I remember one time I'm coming out of a store and this young man approached me. And the important part about this next story is I wasn't feeling too good. I wasn't feeling too good, not physically, spiritually. I was feeling unappreciated. But God knows when Alan is feeling unappreciated. And he will send somebody to tap me on the shoulder or on the back to let me know, Alan, I appreciate you. So in this situation where this young man was coming out of a store that I was coming out, one of us was going in and I was coming out, I think, was the situation. He said to me, hey, I remember you. You bought me some milk. And then he thanked me again. Now this incident may have happened 5, 10 years before. But he let me know that he appreciated the fact that, hey, he remembered me from so long ago, and it lifted me up. Of course, I don't remember ever buying somebody milk, but that's me. You know, if somebody needs something, I'm more than happy to help them out. And so I'm saying that a lot of this appreciation of looking at the whole person, in this young man's case, hey, he needed something, and it caught me, the fact that he said he wanted milk. Okay, so I bought him some milk. Now, that's looking beyond the person, because you get inundated if you're walking the street with people with their hands out. It is hard for me to feel bad when I turn somebody down. Why? Because a lot of times I don't turn people down. And I do know, have the common sense or the understanding, I can't help everybody. But I do show even those who I decide not to help respect. I will show them courtesies. I'm not cussing at them. I'm not telling them, go get a job. I'm not disrespectful in any way. I show them just as much respect. Minus, if I don't have it, I mean, my goodness, what can I do? And sometimes, if I have only a couple of dollars on me, I may say, well, I'm sorry, I can't help you today. You know, but I'm always respectful in them, never confrontational. Now, the fact that I've seen an awful lot of people snarl, if you will, at the homeless. And it really, so distasteful. It really is. I see so many people who have excess, and they have it with an attitude of, this is mine, you go get yours. There is no sharing at all. And it does disturb me. But more often than not, I've seen people rise to the occasion in San Francisco, and as bad as the homeless situation is here, I really tip my hat to the people that I've seen, you know, come up to the plate and show respect and appreciation for the homeless. But we're going to have to do a little extra. Why? Because there are some people who are so tired of the homeless that we can't rely on them. We're just going to have to go beyond the call of duty and help out more than we normally would, because we have got to really drive the message home. I see the whole person, not just the homeless person. And so when we look at the whole person, we're looking for a way to help. I'm looking for a way to give to somebody, not to not give to somebody. Now, I do have a lot of limits. I respect businesses. So if I see somebody in front of a store asking me for money, I'm not going to give it. Why? Because I don't want to encourage people who are standing in front of a business panhandling. Now, if you're on the sidewalk somewhere, middle of the block, away from a business and stuff like that, you have a better chance of getting something from me. But I need to show respect for the business also. If I drive through a McDonald's drive-through and I'm usually getting coffee and people come up to me, can I get something? That's not the area for me to be generous. I respect the business. And sure, some people will acquiesce to their requests. I'm not faulting. I'm saying, hey, okay. It's just that my personal thing is I see that I need to show this business some respect. And so I'm going to show them the courtesy of not giving to the homeless who corral around places. If it's a ATM machine, sometimes that's a wobbler. Because sometimes if I have the funds and somebody sitting there with their little child and they ask for some money, depends. I'll show them respect and I might cough it up. But if that same individual is in front of a McDonald's or any restaurant, nope. Have I broken that rule occasionally? Yes. I sometimes say, all right. Depends on the situation. But I would say 95% of the time, if it's in front of a business, I'm not coughing up anything. But the fact that I will try my best to show a person some respect, yes. So when you hear that there are certain people who are, inclined to give you advice, don't give them anything. They all need to get a job, stuff like that. Just realize Miss Manners is calling on you to be extra courteous and generous to the homeless. San Francisco's homeless situation is out of control. And we're going to get it back under control. I know that San Francisco has the ability to do so. It's going to take time, but it's not going to be building buildings and shuffling them all off into the buildings or off to the streets. That's not going to do it. By showing them common courtesy in their devastated state, keep in mind, now I've never, one time in my almost 62 years on this earth, I asked somebody for money. I was at San Francisco International Airport. I just came in and I had no money and I needed to get money, bus fare into the city. And I swallowed my pride and asked somebody for $1, which was the fare at the time. The person looked at me, gave me the $1, and I was on my way. And but the deal is in all my life, I have never felt that I could actually really panhandle. No, I've been broke, but the fact that it is something that is it's something I just refuse to do. And I look at people who panhandle, and I can tell when I'm looking at them how humiliating they are, how humiliated they are to just make the request. And because of that humiliation, the humbleness that they display in approaching me, hey, if I have it, they got it. But the fact that we all need to recognize by looking at the whole person, appreciating the whole person, is basically how we're going to get ahead of this situation. Now, sure, all of the problems that come with people who are homeless continue to pile up. What do? I can guarantee you, just by chipping away, we will knock that wall down. And in doing so, we will be once again everyone's favorite city. Because I'm telling you, I currently, today, am embarrassed at what I see of San Francisco. And for me to be embarrassed, it is, I know we are better than this. True, there's a lot of people who come to San Francisco as a place of refuge. They've come from other areas, or they part of the gold rush mentality to go west, whatever it is. Well, a lot of them, they decided to come west, but they didn't bring their manners. And that is disturbing. How can you ask San Francisco to open its arms to you, and then you come here with an attitude that is unwelcoming? I've seen that too, and it's ugly. And so, as Miss Manners, I say you look up some advice from Miss Manners, you take a refresher course from Miss Manners, but if you're going to be in San Francisco, show more respect, more appreciation, starting with the homeless. And I say starting with the homeless, and definitely, others. But the fact of the matter is the situation that is our homeless situation, they need it the most. And I am calling on all San Franciscans who listen to me to remember, Miss Manners says, let's boost up the manners, showing more respect to these homeless people. And it's not going to change their homelessness overnight, but a little courtesy goes a long way. And I'm sure that the little courtesy that we show each and every homeless person that we interact with, I guarantee you, we are going to get the benefits. So until next time, God bless.